Summer board meeting is still on. I was okay.
All right. Thank you for attending the meeting tonight. I'm glad to see so many people here. Let's bring the meeting to order, and where did Doug go? All right, so
He's right there.
just making sure you were here for the meeting. TJ, would you mind offering our invocation tonight?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather. Lord, we ask that you guide us and lead us as councilmen and women and mayor and decision makers. Lord, we ask that you continue to watch over our community, bless it, guide us and give us the strength and the voice to stand up for what's right. Lord, we thank you for all that you do for us. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Start your engines.
So we have two council members out tonight. One of them, I believe, is working, and the other one is with her husband. So please pray for Laura's husband for a speedy recovery. And items of community interest. I have something to say. The last week of June in our city every year is the Bowie Days Rodeo. And all their events that go with it. It's now stretched out to over 11 days. And it's run by an all-volunteer organization. They spend thousands of dollars getting ready for it. They've spent thousands of dollars in our rodeo arena over the last several years, and they continue to bring money and put it back into our rodeo arena. It looks better this year than it has, especially back where the animals are, than it has looked in a very, very long time. We had standing room only for all 3 nights of the performances. It was probably one of the best attended years that we've had. And I and my husband got to meet 3 young men from Austria that were in Dallas for the soccer. And they looked up the closest rodeo event, and the Bowie event was the one they came to. They were fabulous young men. One of them, I think, was nearly 9 feet tall. It seems like that when you're, underarm level with them. But they were amazed at what we do in America to our children when we put them in an arena with wild animals. They probably saw the most exciting thing they had ever seen and wanted to take this calf scramble and the mutton busting back to Austria with them and start a business. My husband was smart enough to say, I'm your consultant, I get 10%. So it was wonderful. I loved seeing all the people there, but mostly I'm very proud of the volunteer group that puts so much money back into our city-owned property. And we're not talking just a little bit of money. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars a year. So I want to personally thank them. They are led up by Scott Head, and he's been their leader for several years. I cannot say how much I appreciate the money that's brought back into our city each year for that event. So if you're listening, thank you very much. Anybody else have any items of interest for the community? All right.
The first day to sign up for the election
To-
is Monday the 20th.
It's that time of year. Monday the 20th, you can sign up for one of 3 council positions. You have to live in your district in order to sign up, and the last day to sign up will be
August the 17th.
August the 17th. So come one, come all. TJ, just so you know. Anything else? All right, well then let's go into the city manager's report.
We're currently getting bids on 2 projects. The Glen Hill Lift Station, which is part of the sewer line project, is financed through the Texas Water Development Board loan. and the Rock and Pillar Street Drainage Project, which we plan on financing in-house. I will let the council know the dates of the bid openings and how the bids come in. Look for an email to know that. As you can see from the budget being passed out later on tonight, we have a draft budget. The draft is in capital letters. We still don't have all of the numbers, and the ones that we have, we don't know for sure if they're correct or not. The areas shaded in yellow, if you'll see, have a question about them, or it's highlights a large purchase. I've talked to the chief appraiser at the appraisal district, and Kim told me that they should have the final tax valuations by tomorrow. I've included in the budget the Rock and Pillar Streets Drainage Project at $2 million. Hopefully it will be less than that amount, but if it is, at least we'll have it budgeted. We have the funds to do this project without jeopardizing our financial stability, and I've consulted with our financial advisors and our new finance director, and and they both agree that we can manage the cost of the project. The council can also pass a resolution when we award the bid, if we do, that will allow us to borrow money if we need it at a later date. However, I do not recommend that we borrow the money because we have so many projects that will require borrowing in the not so distant future. I have also been working on the Texas Water Development Board grant application. Hopefully we will get all of the $10 million we are asking for. Including in the grant application is a greatly expanded raw water pump project, which includes several new items, request for our water reuse project engineering plan, and a request for engineering plans for the expansion of the water treatment plant. This application is due on the 30th of this month, and the awards will be announced in the fall. I have finished our grant application. I'm letting our engineering firm review my application to make sure I didn't mess up anything or whatever. So as soon as I get back from them, I'd like to turn it in early, because if you have to wait till the very end, it gets to be a scramble. The water department field crews are laying 837 feet of 6-inch water line on Session Street from Caulfield to Roberts, which is being fed now by a 2-inch water line. After they finish the water line, they will replace the curb and gutter of about 408 feet, and eventually they will pave the street. Yesterday we received notice from Waste Connections that their rates will increase 2.61%, which is the amount of the consumer price index increase. Our contract with them states that they will increase the cost of garbage fees each year using the CPI as the standard measure to increase. Because it is in the contract, the council does not have to ratify the increase, but it will be on our next agenda for discussion. Any questions?
None? All right, let's move on to public comments. Do we have any public comments in the gallery? Hello, sir. All right, then let's move to the consent agenda items, which tonight only requires the approval of the last minutes at the last regular meeting on June the 23rd. If you have read so and would like to make a motion to approve, I would accept.
So moved.
Post, do I have a second?
Second.
Shaw? Post?
Aye.
Holstein?
Aye.
Shaw?
Aye.
And McEwen?
Aye.
All right, they pass. The next item on the agenda is the second reading of ordinance 2026-07, an ordinance of the City of Bowie, Texas, amending Chapter 1 General Provisions by repealing Article 1.1700, Office of Emergency Management in its entirety, and adopting a new Article 1.1700 entitled Office of Emergency Management, providing a savings clause, a repealer clause, and providing an effective date. We went over this the last meeting. This is the second reading for this. Do we have any discussion and or motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Thank you, Mr. Holstein. Do I have a second?
Second.
Host? Shaw?
I still have a problem with the one clause in there in section C about the continuity and defund and all that required by the voters, so I'm no.
Still a no? Holstein?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
McEwen?
Nay.
Okay, I'm still gonna go with a yes, so the mayor breaks the vote. Thank you. Right, so the next item on the agenda, we have an update on an agreement for automatic aid assistant between the City of Bowie Fire Department, Sunset Volunteer Fire Department, and the Bowie Rural Fire Department. And Doug is at the podium.
Good evening. Mayor, we passed this back in February. February 1st is about when it started. And these numbers go through July the 8th. Automatic aid that we've given to Bowie Rural or Sunset have been 9 times. 5 for grass fires, 4 for structure fires, 8 to the Bowie Rural area, and 1 to Sunset. The one in Sunset was a structure fire. And then we've received automatic aid 1 time inside the city on a structure fire. Hasn't caused us any trouble. Staffing hasn't been an issue. Everything's working well. Do you have any questions?
When because I think that was one of the concerns was, hey, we got people out there, what something happens here, how much of the crew was responded to these in general?
Typically 2.
Okay.
2 out of 5. That's just pretty typical. We also, we wait in-house for volunteer firemen to also arrive at the station to respond to the rural areas.
Okay.
Obviously, there's no vote on this. He's just bringing us an update. Thank you.
So any other questions?
Thank you.
I'm good.
No, sir.
Thank you. It's been a good thing. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is new business to consider medical access and service advantage, the MASA program. I believe we have someone here from MASA tonight too. And I will tell you that Bert has visited with these gentlemen, or one or both of these gentlemen. So they had a packet in some information in your packet. They're now going to go over.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm Rodney Dryden. I'm your consultant with Hub International. We work with the city on your employee benefit programs. Tonight we're here to discuss a specific program called MASA, and it's an emergency medical transport program. This program was created in conjunction with Hub International, my company, and Will's company, MASA. It was born out of the need of one of our municipal government clients that offered a specific emergency medical transport program through a regional company called CareFlight. That CareFlight program didn't service the needs of all of their residents because of their limitations on in geography. MASA is extraordinarily unique in the sense that their program is available in all 50 states and Canada. So if you require emergency medical transport, this program would cover you in all 50 states, the territories, and Canada if you were traveling. What makes this program unique? It's the only one like it in the United States, and it is available to residents of cities through water billing. And this program for the city of Bowie is unique in this sense, and I'm going to let Will explain it because it's his program. But what makes it unique is, since the city of Bowie operates its own EMS transport, if a resident of Bowie is transported, it will pay. If they have insurance, the insurance will pay. As a MASA member, they submit a claim and MASA would pay an additional amount. As you know, ambulance transports, your insurance doesn't cover full amount. MASA will supplement that, and to the City of Bowie, it's a revenue stream, an additional revenue stream that you do not have now. In fact, we're conducting a study right now for one of our group's clients that's a suburb of the city of Fort Worth, and they use Fort Worth EMS, and they pay Fort Worth an annual fee for that service. And the potential to increase revenue to the Fort Worth EMS system on a small city, similar population to Bowie, is almost $100,000 of revenue that would be available through this program to help supplement the EMS of Fort Worth. So the same would hold true in a situation with Bowie. But at this point, I want to turn it over to Will, let him go through the program, answer questions, and we're both available to answer any questions. I've been doing these types of programs, healthcare benefits, for a long time. This is one of the first programs in a long time that I see that is solving multiple problems. It's solving the balance billing issue for people who have ambulance transport, and it's also generating revenue for my clients for their EMS departments. So that's been a really, really positive program. So Will Winters, MASA, he's going to take it from here.
Are those,
Yes, and I wasn't sure if you received this, but this is the actual proposal.
Official proposal.
The official proposal.
Did you say Will Richards?
Winters.
Winters.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as Mr. Cunningham and I were talking about when I got here, it's been a long time since I've been here, but I can say my grandfather grew up here, and we've had a lot of family, extended family, I guess, that still live in the area. So it's kind of reminiscing coming back to Bowie. But again, my name's Will. I'm with MASA, and as Rodney really mentioned, this is a unique solution, and it's one that we're really excited about. I can tell you, before I came to MASA, I guess a few years before I came to MASA, I actually worked EMS myself. 14 years, I ran an EMS service in a rural community, so I definitely understand the struggles there. Flew in a helicopter, I did all that fun stuff. So, but one thing that always bothered me was seeing people make decisions on whether to be transported or not because they're worried about that bill. And so really the way that this particular plan is designed, it's designed in a manner to really help take that sting out of the bill, right? So it's not always going to necessarily cover 100% of wherever their out-of-pocket responsibility is, but it takes that sting out of the bill so they can have that confidence and kind of be reassured in order to feel like, hey, I can get the care I need when I need it without waiting. And again, to me, like I said, that's something that's very, I guess it really hits home to me, because once again, I've seen so many bad outcomes as a result of that. And also, as Rodney mentioned, with this, when he mentioned it covers all providers in all 50 states and Canada, it's for both ground ambulance and air ambulance. And so, again, that's something very unique from that standpoint. And just to give you an idea how large that is, there's 23,000 ground ambulance providers in the U.S. and roughly about 300 air medical providers that this one solution covers. So it's pretty substantial when you think about it from that standpoint. And then when you start talking about frequency of transports, statistically, there's an ambulance dispatch every second throughout the U.S. An air ambulance every minute. And furthermore, I guess roughly about 1 in 15 families need a ambulance sometime throughout a year. So again, it's something that gets utilized. Obviously, I don't know what the call volume is here, but it's just kind of giving you an idea statistically where that is. So, and it's not necessarily just here in the city, of course, right? If someone's going to Wichita Falls, or they're going down to Decatur, Fort Worth, something may happen there. So again, they have that benefit for that. In addition to that, we start talking about just the charges of the transports. There's been a 32% increase in the ground charges nationally on average for ground EMS over about a 3 or 4 year period. And our data, we're not really seeing any indication of that slowing down at all. In fact, in certain areas, it appears to actually be accelerating and climbing even faster for. So with this, again, it's just it's a solution to really help kind of take, not only the sting out, but also provide a solution for EMS itself when it comes to collections, without feeling like, you have to start getting quote unquote aggressive at some point in order to try to get that collection from individuals. So it's just a nice little benefit for that. In addition to that, as far as what the benefits are, you might forget exactly what page it is in your packet, but what this does, it has 4 different benefits associated with it. Number 1, it has emergency ground, and what that means is that for any transport, we'll cover up to $1,000 out of pocket for that. So if someone has for example, has a $1,300 bill that they owe, then we're gonna cover up to $1,000 of that. They still may owe that additional $300, but we like to try to work with that provider to get that $1,000 considered payment in full. There's obviously no guarantee behind that, but it is an opportunity to, again, help alleviate that out of pocket. In addition to that, the air ambulance transport benefit, it covers up to $10,000 for that. The good news is, with the No Surprises Act in place, that was 4 years ago now, 5 years ago, with that in place, there's no true balanced billing like we used to hear of, right? Where people are getting these $60,000, $70,000 bills that they owe because the medical plan basically has to pay. And so that $1,000 or $10,000 in most cases will cover a majority of that transport bill that they will owe for that air ambulance transport. The one caveat I will say, if they are uninsured at the time of transport, there is a 20% out-of-pocket cap on the benefit. So in other words, that $10,000, so if it's an $80,000 flight, we'll still cover up to $10,000, right? If it's a $40,000 flight, we'll cover $8,000 of that $10,000. Does that make sense? So there's still a nice benefit in there for it. And from the EMS perspective, for those that are uninsured, I can tell you from experience, you're lucky if you collect a few pennies on the dollar typically. And so this is a nice way, again, to help kind of accelerate and improve that reimbursement when it comes to that. In addition to that, there's a hospital-to-hospital benefit. So if you're at a local hospital or at any given hospital, you need to be transported to another hospital, whether it's by ground or by air. Those same benefit levels apply, the $10,000 for air and $1,000 for ground. And just recently, we actually added another benefit to this, is treat no transport. Are you familiar with that is? We say treat no transport? No, you are. Basically, EMS is called, shows up on scene, they provide treatment, they say, I'm not gonna go to the hospital by ambulance, and they basically get a refusal, say, hey, we're not gonna transport you. With a lot of services now, they are starting to charge for that particular service on the scene, although they were not transported. And typically those range anywhere from a couple $100 to $500. So we include a $200 benefit in there that's basically you can use that twice a year within a 12-month period for it as well. So it's a nice little additional kind of perk and value for that. But to put in perspective, for a $1,000 benefit, with what the cost of this is for an entire household, you're paying on it for nearly 11 years to cover that one ground transport. For an air transport, you're paying on it for over 107 years for that $10,000 benefit. So, we really feel that it's something that really helps provide a nice, again, just that peace of mind and that reassurance, and there's a lot of value really this benefit there, period. One question I get asked a lot is, all right, if someone's transported, how do they get that reimbursement taken care of, with that provider? And it's very simple. All they have to do when they get the bill, they get the EOB, all they have to do is send a copy of that to us. There's no claim forms they have to fill out, nothing like that whatsoever. Send us a copy of the bill, along just with proof of residency, like basically you live at that address. So it could be a driver's license, it could be a utility bill, anything like that. At that point, then we reach out to the provider, just verify, hey, bill us as a potential payer. Once we get that, then we work with that provider to get that paid up to that benefit level, if not fully relieved of the responsibility itself. And of course, once we get that done, we do let the member know that it's been resolved, or we just basically tell them how it's been ultimately handled when it comes to that. One nice thing too about this that we found is something that we understand that, especially in smaller cities, communities, you have limited staff. right? And so we want to make this as simple as possible to really be able to get rolled out. And the big thing with that, and I believe it's probably in your proposal too, it's very simple. If the city were to approve this, and then we can just work directly with the staff in terms of getting language for the website, for example. We can create inserts that can go out in the bills. And so we can handle all that communication from that standpoint, so you don't have to worry about it. And then, of course, then the residents are enrolled, and then it's a simple file that we receive from the city. We get them upload in our system, we communicate with them directly via mail at that point, let know that they are enrolled for it. With the way that this is set up, it's set up as an opt-out type of program. So in other words, everybody's kind of quote-unquote automatically opted in to start with. And I say that just so you're aware that whenever we do that, like if you're to approve it, we're not gonna say it's gonna be an 8/1 effective date. We're talking about like a 9/1, 10/1 day out. So that way we can provide plenty of education, plenty of communication up front to the residents, so therefore that they have that ability to make that educated decision on what they want to do as far as being enrolled or staying enrolled or staying, or opting out before it ever goes effective for that. Is there any questions to this?
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
If they fail to opt out in the first round out of the box, how long do they have to opt out so they don't get charged anything?
So it'll be 30 days. So they'll have another entire month, basically. So let's say hypothetically, we're saying it's a 10/1 effective date. We'll have all the information in the system, before the effective date. They'll get communication from us. That's another touch point. So if they want to opt out, they have time to opt out before, ideally right before 10/1, first of all. Second, it doesn't even have to be on the first water bill until the water bill that goes out in the month of October. So if they see it on the water bill at that point and they say want to opt out, they can contact the city to opt out. And simply, if you don't submit payment to us for that individual, just to be frank, after 60 days it goes to suspension. Another 30 days it gets canceled anyways. And so it's kind of by default, kind of opt out. So if that shows up on their bill and they don't pay for that particular amount, so let's say the water bill, $100, then with this on there it's $107. If they only pay you the $100, you're not going to remit payment to us for that $7 and change, right? For it. So it's just another kind of way to help kind of protect that. Does that answer your question?
You might also cover that it's a total household benefit and it's billed in arrears.
Yeah, so great point, or good point, Bobby. So this does cover the entire household. So if you have mom living with you, if you have grown kids living with you, grandkids living with you, as long as that's considered their permanent residence, they are going to be covered as well under that one single membership at that one single price point. So it's a nice way just to ensure everybody under your roof, in essence, is covered for that. Secondly, when it comes to actually remitting payment to us from the city, it's billed in arrears. So taking about October 1st effective date, we're not going to expect payment till, how many days in November? 30? Till November 30th. So there's really 60 days from that initial effective date before we would even expect to have that first payment. So in other words, we're not asking the city to outlay any money. There's no cost to the city to offer this and go this route. It's just an avenue for them for you guys to really provide a service and an opportunity to residents that they normally wouldn't have, because we do have a consumer division that does market to a very targeted population. But I can tell you that price point on that on a monthly basis, it's like around $60 a month because it has a whole plethora of other benefits and a very comprehensive solution. And so the only other way anybody to be enrolled in MASA is really through their employer without something like this in place.
Okay, I have several questions.
Go for it.
Do you require?
I got all night.
Do you require a certain percentage of our water bill customers to be on this plan in order for it to be successful?
No, we do not require a certain number. So, but the reason we do the opt-out is because we, number one, based on experience, my personal experience being here before MASA, is really understanding, even in different type of communities, what kind of population wants to be enrolled and how many want to be enrolled. We're able to really kind of help hone in on what that price point will be, and that's what we look at. In addition to that, we're looking at this more than just, say for the city of Bowie. This is something for, fully anticipate this growing rapidly. We're already starting to see that occur with, more and more municipalities really gaining interest in this. And so we see it as basically one master kind of, or one big pool for that. So it's not individual city by city for that.
Okay. Secondly, how many times can they use the $1,000 claim per year?
There's no limit on that.
There's no limit on that?
The only limit that there is on the treat no transport.
So the $200 limit?
Yes, ma'am.
Conceivably, they could go to take an ambulance ride for medical necessity every day.
Okay. All right, so when we look at the no balance billing, if you get an ambulance bill from Medicare or Medicaid patient, do you still pay that even though the Medicare, Medicaid doesn't allow the no balance billing, or do you refuse to pay that?
So if they are so Medicaid recipients should not have a bill, generally speaking.
They shouldn't enroll in the plan either.
So Medicaid recipients should not be enrolled in the plan.
Okay.
And that's, by the way, that's included on the communication that goes out. And then for Medicare recipients, there is, it's really twofold. Number one, we're seeing an increase in denials throughout the country for Medicare, for those transports, because Medicare is coming back and say, hey, you didn't meet the medical necessity, threshold, so they deny the claim. And so now that individual who took the ambulance that has Medicare, has Medicare, is now stuck with that entire bill, in theory. Again, I'm not familiar with what the billing practices are here, but that's just generally how that occurs. And so with this, again, it's a way to help kind of cover that cost for them, or at least part of that cost, so they're not stuck with the entire bill for that. Now, if Medicare does pay, again, it just depends on, it's based on the Medicare allowable,
Right.
what Medicare pays. So it just depends on whatever they owe still within there, if anything. But whatever they owe, there's that possibility, again, they can owe something out of pocket at that point. And so we will pick up whatever that is. So,
Doug,
yeah.
I'm going to refer to Doug for a moment.
One question on that. Medicare does their payment.
Right.
Are they going to treat the MASA like supplemental insurance and file against it as well?
You talk about the individual?
The individual or the billing company?
Yes.
So it would be just treated like a supplemental?
It's treated just like a supplemental.
So there's a,
So that's
So
not
Doug, correct me if-
balance billing, that's just.
Yeah, so there's a difference in out-of-pocket responsibility that you owe.
right, obviously there's
Yeah.
deductibles during the year.
Correct. Yes.
But once you get past that, there's still patients that receive balance bills from billing companies that shouldn't be receiving those bills. So how
For-
much research is done as to whether or not MASA is going to pay the bill that that customer receives?
So for clarity, so for ground ambulance transports, that does not necessarily hold true. It depends on what kind of plan they're enrolled in for that. For air ambulance transports, that's where there is no balance billing itself that should occur. So in other words, just for clarity for everybody, the balance bill is the amount above the allowable. And so, historically, again, you heard about air ambulance transports, people $60,000, $70,000 bills that they owed, because that may have been, they call it an $80,000 flight. The medical plan only paid $10,000. And so as a result, the individual owed $70,000 for it. So they owe that entire balance because that provider was out of network. But with the No Surprises Act, when that passed, what that did is prevented that balance billing, and it made basically the provider and the medical carrier have to come together, and they work the entire process, in essence, for an allowable level to be determined. And so whatever your plan design is for your medical is really where that kind of will determine, in essence, how much someone owes out of pocket for that. But they can't be billed anything past that amount. So take that $80,000 flight, that liable may end up being $60,000, but you may only have a $10,000 out-of-pocket, max, for example. And so, once you hit that $10,000 out-of-pocket max, the medical plan has to pick up that difference, not you as an individual.
And that's on air.
That's on air specifically.
Go ahead, Doug.
One more question.
So for it.
Nursing homes, how does that, you got out here at one of our nursing homes, 160 residents, one bill. Are they included in this? Are they precluded from this?
So they will not, so great question, so they will not be included in this specifically. Now, I know this actually came up before, and so it's something that we can look at potentially doing, and create some kind of opportunity or some plan, for those care facilities, whether it's retirement facilities to nursing homes, things like that. We just don't have that in place yet. So it's really for your, any residential, I guess, meter, that there's, in essence, a single quote-unquote household that's living within that meter, or on that meter.
So all your aggregates are excluded if they're all falling under one bill.
Commercial.
Yes. Yeah, commercial, all that's excluded. It's residential.
So what happens if you have a child that lives in your home that does not have a utility bill to prove that they live there, or a driver's license?
Basically, if we know that they're your child, that's,
So
Yeah.
children are still covered
yes,
in
yes,
this?
children are still covered.
And children don't necessarily mean a 15-year-old. It could be your grown child living with you, with their children. But if they're living in your residence and can prove it, maybe they get mail at your house, that's proof of residency.
Okay. So you're not actually a transport service? You are an
Correct.
insurance company, for lack of a
Yeah,
better
in
word?
Texas, technically, it's considered membership. but
Membership
yes.
insurance company. So this doesn't affect us in any way as far as ordinances go. All right, so you want us to do the billing? You want us to collect the money? And you want us to send you a check?
That sums it up.
How much do we get paid for doing your billing work?
Millions of dollars.
Now, I say that.
You get paid through the EMS reimbursement.
So, well, okay, and if you look at our community and the age of the ambulance user, yes, I would love to see the $1.4 million that we lose each year on non-paid billing, but I say about us doing your billing because another example is Waste Connections is our trash company, and all of our water customers have to have trash service. We do the billing, we do the collections, and we write the check, but we receive a payment in a percentage back each month. Well, we deduct it from our payment for doing the administrative work.
Right.
So nothing comes back from y'all.
Not from that standpoint at this time. But I will say that,
Because we're going to get a lot of phone calls on this.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, you agree, don't you?
yeah, so there's a lot of different ways also to kind of address that. Again, number one, and I know you're going to get phone calls, right? And so we have very high level information to help support any of that. Once, I know Rodney and the team too, before it gets launched, is there to help kind of answer any questions that we have, our number 2 that people can be directed to. But like what we've done with really the first one and the next one and plan doing moving forward is also on the website itself. For example, we have the ability to provide just all the language that all you gotta do is basically just drop it onto a page within the website that will answer a lot of questions that people have, which I know not everybody's tech savvy and have the ability to go there for that. So that's one thing. And secondly, also on the website, for those who don't want to opt in, what most seem to be wanting to do is they just create a form on the website that's literally like their name and their address, just confirmation that they want to opt out. They click it, and then that way everything can be handled behind the scenes. So you're not handle like, however many phone calls, people wanting to opt out for that. So it's another avenue to help take some of that call load off of it. There is our very first community, they have about 7,900 meters. And out of that, they said over the first 60 days from the time it was announced until 30 days passed, there was less than 100 phone calls, if I remember correctly.
And they're still at about 97% adoption. We just did another one, very similar, 53 have opted out after 90 days. Most of the communities we've talked to, they've seen the value in it. We don't discount in any way that there is some level and some degree of lift for city staff. And what that equates to is name, address, account number in an export, send it to MASA. MASA generates a bill and sends it back for your audit. So that when the city goes through its audit process, it has substantiation. MASA's team is there. If your people have questions, my team is there to support city staff, field questions from residents, what have you. So the goal here is really twofold: to offer a program to the residents of the city of Bowie that they can't get on their own, and secondly, for our municipal clients that have EMS, emergency medical transport services, a way to generate revenue. Because to your point, I heard your comment about 1.4 million, I think you said. One of our cities, and I didn't get permission to use their name before I came, I should have, that implemented this program. Almost the exact same number, almost 1.5 million was their cost. They're billing about 1.3 million in charges. They're collecting about 260,000. And what their hope is that they can increase that collection number from 260 to something greater. That is their quoted, because they had a similar comment to yours about getting quote unquote paid. And their comment from their mayor, city manager, fire chief was that would be payment, getting our collection rate up, getting more money into our budget, and not having to basically have EMS as a loser on the budget every year. It will continue to be that, but maybe we can slow the bleed down a little bit. That was their goal. In the studies that we've done, it's really remarkable the amount of money that is out there. And I don't know, Chief, if you use a billing service, I suspect I know who that might be. It starts with an E, maybe. And so they charge you a percentage of what they collect. We're working on that aspect also, because this would be a direct payment from MASA to your billing entity and then to the city. So they're collecting more funds and faster. So in our view, there should be a lesser amount being charged by them. So we're working that also. Again, we believe that this is a great solution, not only for residents, it provides something that you don't have access to now, but for EMS, it provides a revenue opportunity that you just don't otherwise have. And not to mention the fact that we're talking about the borders of Bowie, but we're also talking about if you have a resident that's on vacation in Oklahoma or New Mexico or wherever, something horrible happens, or they have a health event, they have coverage there. So it's a broad reaching program. I think your chief would agree that a treatment, no transport reimbursement at any level is unheard of. We're seeing on the treat, no transport, on the data that we're seeing, a less than 5% collection rate in the data that we've been looking at, and I'd like to hear his comment on that.
I don't know what the rate is, but we do collect on treatment, no transport.
Okay, so, but we're seeing in a broader view.
We bill for it.
You bill for it.
We bill for it.
So,
Most of those are paid.
cool. So those are paid. So if I can use an example, if you bill $500 for treat and no transport, that person could reduce the amount they owe by $250.
before you close, I've got a couple more questions. I see, I'm thinking about the older population, and I can see that filing a claim might be difficult for them. Can we file the claim for them?
Anyone can file a claim. You know, if that person authorizes that, yes. I mean, you have people, I mean, I have family members that probably couldn't file that claim on their own.
My parents.
So, yes, they can be assisted in submitting a claim.
Doug, you got a
Is
comment?
that information that can just be provided to the billing company?
So we do have to have it coming from outside the billing company itself. However, one of the things we are working on is, number one, in order to remind them that they have it, is have it included on the bill itself, saying, you know, for example, it looks like you're a resident of Bowie, you know, don't forget you probably have MASA, this is how you submit a claim. So it's a friendly reminder on that front. So that's the first thing, but the second part is really against, it has to come from someone outside the building company itself for the service itself. That being said, filing the claim, again, it is simple. It's not complicated, but again, I do also understand, heck, I have a hard time using email half the time. So there could be some complication there, but I mean, they could have a family member, they could either email it or it uploads into the member portal, one of the two ways. So it's very straightforward and very simple for that. So to answer your question short, if the city wants to take that on,
I'll just let Rodney file all the claims.
perfect. I'll let him.
And I'll be honest with you, we have clients that have asked that exact question, Bert, and I think you know how we handle your employees when they have problems, it would be the same.
Okay.
You know, if you had a person that needed some assistance, we'll know.
Okay. Another question, a lot of our utility customers live outside the city limits. Does that affect it at all?
Not if they receive a water bill from you.
Okay, you realize that covers Silver Lakes Ranch and
That's fine.
Carter and
So I have one city that I'm talking to right now, I think, is it CNN, is that, or what's that code for the water? I'm probably butchering it.
CCN.
Thank you. So CCN, where, you know, they have their city and then their ETJ and their CCN is 10 miles from anything.
yeah, that's how ours is.
And they're still covered.
Okay.
So what are you looking at? Is this $7.75 what you're looking at for our customers?
Yeah, so it's $7.75 a month. And again, that covers the entire household for that $7.75 a month. And again, like I mentioned before, it depends on perspective. You're paying on nearly 11 years for ground transport and 107 years for one single air transport.
I think
For the
a
benefit too.
really important thing, Mayor, to point out with this, I don't think this is a program that we say, okay, great, let's approve this, let's start at 8/1. It's my opinion that if we did it, we would start it like October 1st. It gives us at least 60, 75 days to communicate to your residents, build any social media posts. MASA provides all of that information. Post it on your website. If you wish to have community meetings about it, we can do that. So it's my opinion that we give plenty of runway, 60, 75 days. And then, so you've got that, plus you've got, as Will pointed out, another 30 to 60 days before the first payment's due. So we're talking about a 4-month window, roughly, for communication and decision. And you are no doubt going to have people that heard it. You communicated it to them 100 times, and they're gonna show up and say, what's this on my water bill? There is no doubt.
But it doesn't matter what you do, that's gonna happen.
And plus, we have to read this twice. If we do, we have to read ordinances twice for approval. So we'd have to have that time built in too.
So, and under the Texas Water Code, 13.162, I think is what authorizes this type of program to be offered to residents through the water program.
So you talked about a period of time for someone to opt out.
Right, so what we could do, so for example, if the city voted on it tonight and it was approved, what the next steps are at that point is, once we know that that happens, you know, if it's approved, I work with the team internally, and typically within a couple of days, we have like a billing insert already created, customized with the city's information, all that will go out in the next water bill, potentially, depending on timing of that, of course. But then in addition to that, as Roddy mentioned, was social media posts, information on the website, however you guys want to do that, or, the local paper, we can have certain stuff put in there for that, is another method or another avenue to communicate. And so they have, if it's a 10/1 effective date, we vote online for a 10/1 effective date, then technically, we're talking about from now, well, technically, right, until 10/1 to opt out, but then there's another 30-day grace period on top of that for them to opt out. So by that time, somebody should have at least had probably 2 or 3 touches of notification. Or if it's, again, coming to do like a city or like a community kind of town hall type event, where I can come up and I can do 2 or 3 in a day, different times, and just, again, just walk through this, explain it, answer any questions. And as Roddy mentioned, for us, it's not trying to sell something necessarily, but it's trying to bring value to the residents and really to the customers, to the city through the water bill itself. Just because, like I mentioned when we started, for me, it's something
I
that.
understand what you're saying, but I promise you, to a lot of residents of this town, you're selling something. If you're charging money on a bill, you're selling me something.
No, I understand. But again, that's what I'm saying, that's the opportunity for them to opt out. If they don't want it, they don't have it.
So
And I've always been a big believer, if they don't want it, I'm not gonna try to convince you into enroll.
So I've had it for 11 months, and my job changes, or something happens,
You
and
can opt out anytime.
you can opt out anytime.
Yes, sir.
That's what I've
And
looked
conversely, you can, if you opted out October 1st and in March, you decided this was important to you, you could opt back in.
Could we have a program that you opted into?
We just don't have the ability to do that.
We don't.
I see that. being
I mean,
the biggest
opting
one.
out is gonna
That-
get your
that's gonna create a
attention
lot more
faster than
work.
opting in, let's face it. It really will. Because they're gonna see 670, or what did you say, 725? 775, they're gonna see 775, and they're gonna wonder what it is. Without seeing it, they may never,
Well, no, that's not the purpose of that, just.
I know, but it's easier to opt out
Yeah, it's easier to opt out.
than it is to educate everybody enough to get an opt-in.
Correct.
Yeah.
And honestly, too, with the opt-in, it actually creates a lot more of us doing an opt-in.
I
Because you have to
personally
do one-on-one.
would like the opportunity to have some sort of town hall or some way of allowing the residents time to know what the potential is prior to us making a decision for them. That's me.
And that's a desire of the council, we're happy to do that too.
How does the rest of the council feel?
I agree with Hoyt, but on the other hand, we've all seen how town hall meetings work around here.
Yeah.
Nobody shows up.
I agree with you, but I'm with her. I struggle to get anybody to a meeting.
I think one of the things that we should do, if you choose to approve this, we should be measured in the approach and make sure that we're giving adequate lead time, adequate communication, and where it's been successful in the communities that we've done it, the folks in your positions have been, I don't want to say promoting it because that sounds pushy, but they have been informing their constituents of this is coming. And this is important, and you need to be aware that this is going to happen, and you need to take these actions. I'll tell you, Town of Northlake did it, and their council members were very active in communicating, and it has been extraordinarily well received by the residents. So I think it's just like so many things in life, communicating is hugely important.
Absolutely.
And so I think that 60 to 75 day runway, and then that 30 to 60 day window after that, that's a substantial amount of time. And if between the communication pieces that MASA creates someone is going to walk into your utility billing department and say, what is this charge on my water bill? I've never heard of this.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
I mean, that is 100% certain.
Barbara would be the best writer for an article on this.
And we'll mention,
I'll come to you.
we'll mention taking a notice out in the local paper. That's a good idea also, because, you talked about a specific segment of your population. They read the paper.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we pick it up every week to see who's in the police blotter.
So make sure you put it next to the police blotter.
So that's where we're gonna put it right there.
I think we need to present it in every media we possibly can.
Yeah. All right, so let me test the waters.
Okay.
Do you guys have any more discussion? Would you like for me to ask for a motion to see where this goes? Because I will be happy to ask for a motion to see if the council is leaning in this direction.
I'll just speak my piece. I'm not. I think there's a lot of things that we ask our citizens for, and me providing them insurance is not one. No offense to you, I just don't think that's the right time or our right responsibility as this council, but that's my 2 cents, so.
TJ, do you have anything to say?
Benefit to the city would be payment if there was non-payment via insurance, correct?
Yes, and
So
you're
there's
gonna see a
opportunity
number.
To pick up proceeds that we haven't in the past to help cover some of those costs.
And not just non-payment, but if an ambulance ride is $2,500, I'm making it up, and an insurance company paid $1,000, this would pay another $1,000. So not just non-payment, but over and above what an insurance company pays through your health plan for ground transport.
Good, good, good.
And that comes straight to the city.
Okay. Which
Via the billing company. Do you pay us straight to the city, or do you pay the billing company? Well, the billing company gets the,
Member submits the claim, billing company submits the invoice, payment goes to the company that starts with E, and that money comes back to the city.
minus
In
7%.
other words, it's not a reimbursement, it's not going to the member has.
Oh,
to
no,
provide
it'll definitely come to us.
Yeah.
Correct, and there's no chance for it going to the member and then going on vacation.
And my assumption is we run into those situations where we have some sort of non-payment or
Well, the
in
one-
other words, it would benefit.
Yeah, because the $1.4 million that I mentioned is actually our write-off. So we bill more than that. So if it, I mean, I gotta tell you, earlier today, I was having a conversation with my city secretary, and I'm like, I don't think I'm on board with this. But, I mean, if it were to bring in $150,000 more, it's $150,000 more, that's payroll.
Yeah, absolutely helps. And the backside of that is, it is a benefit to the community. One that they would be willing to accept or not, so it's not, you have to do this.
Yeah.
The price seems to be reasonable. And then I think it's up to each in the community to say yea or nay on that, given that they have the proper time, information, all of those things, which it sounds like these guys are more than willing to do. So I think it's a win-win on both sides, and that being the only catch, I think, is again, added work for staff, or website build to have, that option available and the questions and comments, so on and so forth. But other than that, it's kind of hard to make a decision for staff to run through and work that. But as far as the other two positions, I think it's a win-win for the city as well as for those that live within the community, given that they have that choice, and of course they do, so.
Well, I know, my dad had 2 ambulance rides in February. Both of them came with a balance due. So,
There's nothing medically that's cheap. And I'm not a big insurance fan either. I don't necessarily care for it, but at some point, it just makes sense. And again, it's an opt-out. So if they don't want it, they'll have the opportunity to do that.
Stephanie, do you have anything you want to say?
I agree with everything TJ just said. I like the idea of the fact that they can, it's not something that's, you know, they're forced to do. They have that option that, you know, opt in or not. And then also on top of that, this plan may be more, what's the word I'm looking for? More budget friendly than it would be a different plan that, you know, to sign up, it's $200 right off the top for a year, or, you know, $400 or whatnot. So I like the idea that that's more like a payment plan, I guess you would say.
It's a budgetable number.
Yeah.
So, okay, with everybody having spoken, I'm going to entertain a motion to consider the medical access service advantages. I'm assuming after we do our public promotion, if you see zero interest, or if we see zero interest, which I can't imagine that happening, but it could, then we could probably make a decision that this might not work.
I would recommend that.
Okay. So, do I have a motion?
So moved.
TJ, do I have a second?
Second.
Post? Shaw?
What do we,
We're
we saying?
making a motion to accept the medical access program.
okay. No.
Holstein?
No.
Post?
I
McEwen?
Aye.
Y'all-
I was like, I got thrown off for a second. Something didn't seem right. Wanna try that again?
Mayor?
Sorry.
I'm doing like they do. I'm making them wait. I think it's a good service. Only because it's an opt-outable service, I'll agree, yes. So, we've got a 3-2.
The only thing we didn't address in the motion,
Okay, it's kind of late now.
start date.
Okay. It's too late. So, I think I kind of lean towards Boyd on the, how much information is going to go out in the next 60 days. I personally do not want it before October 1st. Because I don't want it to happen until,
I would not recommend before October
yeah.
1st. I mean, it could be 11/1, it could be 12/1. I mean,
That's part of my hesitation. We got this big book right here that we're still calling draft, and we got a long way to go before we can start
Yeah, so
ramming in other things.
what if we do like Boyd said, and let's really push for we know we've got an agreement for our council to do this, but let's get some feedback, and let's do at least 60 and maybe push November 1. Do y'all have a problem with that?
I'd say the more time the better to get the information out, so
Me too.
everybody's educated.
Do we have to
Make
have
that
another
decision.
motion for that?
No, we'll just add it in.
Okay, we'll push for a start date of 11/1.
Thank you, sorry we took up more time.
Oh, it's perfect, thank you. Good
That's okay,
information.
we appreciate it.
Y'all are good.
Thank you, you too. Be careful going home.
Yes, will do, thank you.
See you later, Rodney.
Yes, sir, talk soon.
Okay. Dang. It's like pulling a hair. All right, the next item on the agenda is ordinance 2026-08, an ordinance providing for a general election in the City of Bowie, authorizing the Montague County Elections Administrator to officially conduct the November 3rd, 2026 general election, setting forth council positions and terms, establishing regular and early voting places, and establishing an effective date. This is our second reading, isn't it? No, this is our first reading? So that's our first reading on this vote. Let me get to the right pages now, because there's so many of them here. I don't even have any of the right pages. Here they are. You got me all flustered. I don't have a vote page on this one. There we go. All right, the ordinance providing the general election, I would entertain a motion to accept. As you know, we do this every year. Montague County handles all the election administration.
So moved.
Shaw, do I have a second?
Second.
Post? Why is Ashley on here? That's Holstein. Holstein?
Aye.
McEwen?
Aye.
Post?
Aye.
And Shaw.
Aye.
All right. All right, so the next item we have is an amendment to the Finance Department's cash handling policy. And Robert, you submitted this, didn't you?
Yes.
So let's go to you.
Basically, this is just an amendment that says employees are prohibited from exchanging, substituting, or removing any cash, coins, currency, checks, or other negotiable items received on behalf of the city for personal funds or property. Any exception requires prior written approval from the head of the finance department and shall be documented and retained with the applicable daily cash records. Collectible or unusual coins and currency shall remain with the city's receipts unless an approved exchange is authorized. This amendment basically is just, it enhances accountability, safeguards public funds, and reinforces the city's internal control procedures.
So curious question. Did you just happen to find that we were missing this, or do we have a need for this?
We had an incident that happened where, somebody brought us some coins from the swimming pool receipts, that were extremely valuable, and one of the employees decided to take them, and put money in the cash drawer. We found out about it and got the coins and tried to find the owner of the coins and couldn't. And so we sold the coins for a substantial amount of money, and put that in the city's sale. So that cash belongs to the city, not to the employees, so
Okay.
that's where it came from.
And somebody paid to get into the city pool with those coins?
Do what?
Somebody paid to get into the city pool with those coins?
Yeah,
Really?
a silver coin, I guess they thought it was $1, and it was a little 1 ounce silver coin, 2 1 ounce silver coins.
Wow. Wonder if moms figured that out
We
yet.
tried to locate who it was and couldn't
After
identify
tonight's meeting,
anybody.
somebody's gonna claim them. It was your, see?
Hey, they're already gone.
You left those in your car, did you? Yep.
Okay, so we need to call the vote for that, please.
Okay, somebody want to make the motion to accept that?
So moved.
Anybody want to second that?
Second?
Dang, you get them
TJ.
fighting over it. I can't get them to vote at all.
Okay, Shaw,
Yes.
Holstein,
Yes.
McEwen,
Aye.
and Post.
Aye.
Okay, well, the next item on the on the agenda is what we've all been waiting for. Now, I want you to all to note that tonight is a presentation of the draft budget. That's very important.
Yeah, it is. It's draft. The numbers that you see in front of you are not the permanent numbers, they'll change. For example, Hub International does our bidding for us for insurance, the health insurance. We've already got numbers from TML, IRP and stuff, but I hadn't even got the tax numbers yet, the final tax numbers. So, you know, there's a lot of things in this thing could change. This is our best estimation. You see the first page, page 1, is the utility fund detail. I've tried to be conservative on the revenue because I just feel like that's the best way to go as far as revenue goes. On page 2, you'll see a highlight in the water department where it says insurance. That's our health insurance for employees, and that number that I've got there is an increase, and all of them are an increase of 25%, which is what Hub suggested, the number I use, a 25% increase. We got some numbers today from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and it was a lot more than that, but we got some wheeling and dealing to do with them, and we're gonna try to hold it at that 25% increase or less. We just got to do some, like I said, wheeling and dealing. On page 3, there's 3 things that we're looking at. We repaired the actuator, which we repaired the actuator in one of the basins at the water plant last year to the tune of about $300,000. Of course, the prices have increased, and so I put $400,000 in the budget for that. That's a good guess. The actuator itself is about $300,000 again, but there's some other things that we need to do. So I put that much into it. You'll notice purchased a skid steer for the distribution system. The old one is in bad shape, not bad shape. It requires a lot of maintenance, and would that be a good phrase?
That's a good amount.
So it will last another year, but it'll be crippled. So we may have to spend a lot of money on it, taking care of it. The next one, I'm almost gonna say we really need to do it. We have been mowing the lake dam with a tractor and a batwing mower, and it's a dangerous operation. And I have a company that has a remote control mower that's gonna run around $80,000, but nobody rides on it when it's mowing, and it'll mow on it on embankments up to 50 degrees. They brought it down, we played with it. Jerry drove it on the dam and stuff. It'll take out saplings and grass and stuff. We're required by TCEQ to mow that thing, but personally, I don't want to put anybody's life in danger trying to mow that thing with a tractor and a batwing. They constantly have to have their foot on the brake to keep it from sliding down the hill and things like that. The guy that's been doing it is retiring in August, so I just insist it's a life safety issue. Also on page 3, you see down there, interest on notes. That's some number that Robert's working on now. The water department pays a portion of some of the borrowed money. Again, you'll see on page 4 the $62,000 for the insurance. That again, health insurance. I don't know why, and I'm not an accountant enough, and maybe Robert can explain it better, why we put depreciation in the budget, because it's not a physical outlay of cash, and then there's also interest on the note, and the sewer department pays the sewer line replacement program, and all that that's going to be the interest on that and on that note, and that's a sizable portion, and we don't have that exact number yet. Same thing with the electric department on the health insurance. Our bucket trucks require, a lot of repair to make them safe, on page 7. You'll notice I've got 50,000, we only spent 10,000 on last year. Hopefully that'll happen again, but I put 50,000 in there. And again, the interest on the notes and the depreciation figure on page 7, is something to take note about. And I'm gonna talk with, Austin Henderson, who is our, finance manager, about that to see if we need to put depreciation on it. That's something they used to do, and I just, personally, I don't see a need for it. As you can see, on page 8, in the, utility fund, we're about $1,750,000 and change, it to the good, above, revenue above, expenses. The general fund, the revenue detail is on page 9, and you can look at those numbers again. I'm trying to be, somewhat conservative on those. I may or may not be correct, you never know. On page 10, page 12, in the administration budget, I'm gonna quit referring to the insurance deal because it's on every department. But on purchases on the administration, you'll see a purchase, a PD reduction. What it is we're gonna help the PD buy the body camera software and get some that it's easy to redact out of, and because Sandy has to do the redaction and she wants that software. Is that right?
That's right.
It saved her a whole lot of work. So.
There you have it.
Yeah. And on page 13, we've got the MHMR donation opioid. You remember we've got about 40,000 in an account that came from the Attorney General's office, which is a settlement with the opioid companies. And I just put it in the budget. It wasn't in the budget last year. In fact, when we wrote that check, they wrote it and credited it out of the police department, which is not where it belongs. So I made sure we had that in the budget. The police department budget, nothing special there. Fire department, on page 17, that 100,000 is the ambulance payment, and there's some other things that we might have to put back in there. And again, interest on note, that's the ambulance payment interest on that one.
On the ambulance, that's an ambulance payment?
The 100,000 is the payment, correct, Doug?
On the 2023 and the
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. On page 18, there's a purchase of a truck and a spreader for the paving department. The truck is about 120,000. We've got a 12-yard dump truck that's, how many million miles it got on it?
1998's got 525,000 miles.
Yeah, so we really need to replace that.
Just broke in.
And we need a gravel spreader too, for paving and stuff, and so that's in the budget.
That's a 90 model.
So wait, let's back up. This is a truck and a spreader?
Yeah, it's two different things.
So, but it's a dump truck?
We can't afford to do it, so I'm gonna try to buy you.
And the spreader will be new?
Yeah, we're working with a 1990 model.
Okay.
All right, on page 19, the drainage repair on Wilbarger Street at about 80,000. That's Wilbarger and Green Street. We've had problems with that drainage over there, and so we're gonna have to address that. Our guys can do that. And if you'll notice on, again, on page 19, the Rock and Pillar Street improvements, I've put $2 million in there for that. Again, the library, the only thing that's out of whack there is the insurance. Municipal court, pretty much the same thing. There's some numbers on page 25 about collections. We recently changed who collects our traffic tickets and stuff that don't get paid. And so there should be a number there, but there's not, and I'll have to get with the judge to see exactly what's going on there. On page 26, we're talking about purchasing a tractor and a mower, which would be a tractor and a bat wing. But they also, for less money, they have an auto mower that is available where it uses GPS coordinates to mow straight lines. He's shaking his head no, but he don't like it, but it's a heck of a lot cheaper than a tractor and a bat wing. At any rate, both of those may get taken out of the budget, don't know. We'll just have to see what's there. And then there's an excise tax deal on fuel that I meant to ask you about.
We don't have to, we're not required to pay that.
Okay, so it was in the previous budget. For y'all that don't know, I had to completely rebuild the budget sheets from last year and previous years because for some reason they weren't in the computer when we started doing this. In Parks Department on page 30, nothing special there. We need to put some picnic tables at the swimming pool, and I had not loaded that in, and I'll probably load that in. If you look at on page 30, the account number 64400 is a purchase, so that'll be increased. We did a lot of work at the pool last year. The filters and stuff, and that's why we spent that much last year. Parks Board, we're programming in $50,000 just like we did last year for them to spend. Again, the finance department is pretty self-explanatory. The hotel motel tax money, it's the same thing we did
Wait a minute.
last year.
Wait a minute, finance department.
Okay. Robert's here, he can answer any question you do.
Well, how did the salaries go down so much?
Do what?
Do you already have the raises figured in here?
Yes.
How did the salaries go down so much?
Because,
Because of what?
No, it's, well, my salary, you know, is substantially less than the prior finance director, but Austin's is figured into the professional fees. So the professional fees would have increased a little, but the salary's deep.
the professional pays 60300 on page 13. That's a combination of the budget and then what Austin is costing.
And Austin is at 54?
Yeah.
Is that 54?
Any other questions about that? Next one is on
Wait a
page,
minute, there is a question.
okay?
On page 34, you've got equipment maintenance. We budgeted 116 and we spent 192 this year. Did we ever figure out what the equipment maintenance was in the finance department? I can understand it in anybody else's department, but
I think that, I don't know if it's a roof or the air conditioner or something. Roof, I believe.
AC, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have been AC.
that would have been under building, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Shouldn't that have been under building maintenance?
Yeah, that should have.
Well, that's where it was at when I was putting the numbers in, so we can move that. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, emergency management, the two things that we need to point out is, on the building maintenance, we need to do air conditioning compressor for that department, that's what the 10,000 is for. And then there's a purchase on the equipment, which is, what all that involved? I don't have my notes in front of me.
Is that the equipment purchase? or
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Subscriptions for domestic?
No, it's the
system,
equipment.
The siren system maintenance?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be the batteries and the maintenance.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the siren.
By the way,
Maintenance is.
I need to bring this up, we were talking about,
Yeah, the purchase will be the.
we were talking about with TMLRP, the insurance company today, and our sirens are not insured, but they are now. So we're gonna make sure about that, so, anyway, they're covered now. Evidently, there was a lot of damage, and they asked us about that, pointed out to us that they weren't covered, but they're covered now. Code compliance, the abatement contracting, it was 20,000 last year, we spent 24,000. That, you know, all we're doing is cleaning up other people's messes, is basically what that is, but, in order to make the town look decent and for health and safety reasons, we increased that.
And guys, when I first got here, when Bert and I first got here, that budget was $8,000. So that tells you how much it's gone up over these last 8 years, and he could still use twice that.
Well, for example, you know, we had, a month ago, we had to mow the hospital property. And of course, we get liens when we mow property for that. Most of these liens are paid eventually. If the property sells or anything like that, those liens, you know, pay us for that. But we did the hospital a month ago, and, you know, weeds were 5 foot high, and they had to pull them out. They couldn't just mow them down. You think that you're gonna mow everything, but you can't. Anyway, that was over $1,500 just to mow the hospital. Now all the big tall weeds are gone and stuff, but it'll be less than that. But we're fixing to have to do it again. And so, in order to make things, I just don't want that to get overgrown and stuff. Always, in a situation like that, wish for the first frost, you know, to stop that. And community development, there's two things. Cindy asked if we could increase the improvements, which are the grants for the facade grants. She wanted to increase that to 35,000 from 30,000. And most of these I've left in. I hadn't cut anything out of them. And also at 69300, I thought, Lord of mercy, we spent $27,000 last year and we only budgeted 12. What the heck's going on? I had a heart attack. Well, it turns out that Cindy Roller collects sponsorship money, and that shows up in the revenue. It doesn't show up here, so I'll tell you all about it so you won't have the same heart attack I did. So anyway,
She more than balances that out.
oh yeah, more than balances. She collects a lot of money there. On page 43.
So, hey, on Cindy's deal though, do we need that to go up? Would she expect that to be the same, or?
Well, she'll bring, okay, so this is where you go back to city finance.
I know.
We'll budget the first 12 for her, and then she'll bring in that 1.5 times to 2 times during the year for her events. She doesn't get credit for the overage that she
Yeah,
gets.
it covers, more than covers the cost of
Right.
the stuff, so it's a good deal. And then on the community center, under entertainment, that 60,000, personally, I don't think that we need to be spending that much money, but that's for the decision not for me to make, but for y'all to make. And then, again, the bond principal and the fees on the community center, that is a note within itself, and that's probably fairly accurate on that.
When does that pay off?
Huh?
When does that pay off?
About 8 years.
Okay.
You remember we refinanced it a couple of years ago and got the interest rate down and saved some money there.
What,
Anyway, go ahead.
on that community center, the maintenance, we spent so much this year over budget, and then,
Well, what happened at
Is
the
that
community
the
center,
snow?
what that is that's an insurance claim.
okay,
For the building. We spent $23,000. I increased it to 21,000, because there might be some other things that need to be repaired up there.
That need to be repaired.
But the 23,000 was for the ice damage after the ice storm in February.
okay.
And so we got, that was an insurance claim, and we got paid back from the insurance company. If you'll notice on page 45, the general fund has a deficit of 1.6 million, so, you might call it a balanced budget, but I'd like for both of them to be balanced, not just one of them, but anyway, with cuts and things like that, we can take care of that, but, the main thing is I wanted this to get you in your hands and, let you study it and ask questions or whatever, so. And we need to, on the agenda, we need to, set a public hearing on the budget on August 11th and then, schedule a budget workshop sometime before that,
Okay, let's talk about something since you brought it up,
okay?
because you and I had this conversation the other day. You want to go ahead and outlay the $2 million out of our pocket for the Pillar Street Bridge. I actually want to finance for 5 years,
Well,
make payments.
I'll tell you why I want to, is because I can see, after we get the plans for the reuse water project, we're gonna have to pay for that, we're gonna have to finance that. I don't know if we'll have enough cash back in reserves then or not, and then not very long after that, we're gonna hit 85% capacity on the water plant, and that's gonna be, probably $20 million expansion project, so that's the reason. I can see us borrowing a lot of money down the road, so that's the only reason I'm against it, so.
Where could we recoup, say we're pulling that from tax pool, I assume,
Do what?
the 2 million?
Yeah, it's in tax pool.
So where areas do you think we could like start recuperating that as far as building that back up for the
Well,
next
it takes
major
years to
drainage
do
process?
that,
Sure,
so.
but I think we gotta start there if we're
Yeah.
gonna pull it, same with a
Sure.
payment or something, where would that come from? Would be my thought, cause I'd like to see some of that go right back into it. To a certain degree.
One thing I didn't mention, on page 9, into the general fund revenue detail, I am showing a 5-cent, tax rate increase of, .593 in the revenue. I did have it at the same price and it's not feasible. Inflation has outpaced our budget, and so we're gonna have to have a tax increase to get it, within reason. And I stuck that number in, again, if that's your decision to make, is what level, but
I'm sorry, what page were you on, Bert?
page 9,
Thank
the general fund revenue detail.
Okay.
At the
So
very
that's a-
top, ad valorem tax, and you'll see right there, the .593, that's the tax rate, which is a nickel increase, so.
Today's tax rate is .5454. It will be the first tax rate increase in over 5 years.
Actually, 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years, but it was over 5. So that is one thing that we've held steady. Now, Bert and I are going to TPPA next week. We don't expect to hear a whole lot about rate increase for electricity between now and the first of the budget. But we're gonna go communicate.
The next time we do these, please bring your binder back, because we may have some other sheets printed out to go into your binder to replace these, as we get more numbers and whatnot, so don't forget to bring those
So
back.
we would like to have a workshop.
And y'all are welcome to mark these up because you'll get a clean copy
Yeah.
when it's all said and done. So if you've got questions and stuff, you can highlight it or whatever.
Are these emailed? Are they gonna be emailed as
They
far
were
as?
not emailed to you because they weren't done in time.
Can we-
I'm still, gathering numbers, and that's the only reason I didn't
Sure.
email. I can email them to you, no problem.
Do you mind doing that?
Not
That'd
at
be
all.
wonderful. Yeah, even though it's a preliminary draft.
I've got your email address. so.
That'd be good.
Anybody else want them?
Yes,
You want one?
please.
Okay.
So we have to have a public hearing on our budget August the 11th. So needless to say, we want to take a budget, which puts us in the possibility of definitely setting a workshop. Because at the workshop, all your department heads will be here. So you can discuss with the department heads the questions you may have. Plus, I suggest you contact Bert, over the next week, well, we're gonna be out of town next week, but over the next several days, if you see numbers and you don't know why they're there, he can tell you those numbers.
We're just gonna be out of town Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, so I'll be here next Thursday.
So what I would like to do is set a workshop. Now you have a choice, Monday before the meeting on the 28th, or the night of the meeting on the 28th. But we would need to do the workshop, right after the meeting,
If it's not inconvenient for y'all, I'd rather have the workshop on a night by itself.
Yeah,
That's
which would be
just my
that Monday.
opinion.
I agree, I would,
That's all we talk about, and that's it.
So the 27th is actually that Monday.
I would prefer that we do it on that Monday.
Sandy will be feeding me that night. I don't know what, but she'll be feeding me something. So can you guys all do Monday, the 27th as a workshop,
What time?
6 o'clock?
Yeah. Yes.
TJ, can you do that?
To the best of my knowledge, as I sit here, yes.
Yes. Brent, can you?
Yes, ma'am.
And you can too? Well, that's 4 of you. All right, so let's go ahead and plan to do Monday, the 27th for a workshop and look at your numbers. I would say if you have something updated, go ahead and email it to them. Hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have insurance numbers. Am I wrong?
Yeah, probably. The
So maybe you
the
get-
insurance is gonna be the last thing. We're negotiating with the insurance company, so it's gonna be the last solid number we get.
Hopefully you're close though, so.
I'll have the tax, well,
Oh, the tax number's tomorrow.
tomorrow. She said she'd have those tomorrow, so.
Yeah, so we can update those numbers.
And they had the final, tax contest meeting today, so.
That workshop's gonna be here,
Yeah,
at
We're
what
gonna
time?
do it here, or we're gonna do it in there?
Well, we'll probably do
We'll
it.
probably do it in the
Right,
conference
well,
room.
okay.
Or it doesn't matter. But we have to make
but
those.
be
Well, we
sure,
may do it in here because I want all the department heads here,
Yeah,
so
that's
they'll
true.
have an audience out here.
Okay. And what time?
6 o'clock, what did you say?
Both of those we have to
6 o'clock.
do motions on.
On the workshop?
Set our public hearing.
Yeah, I knew we had to do that. I didn't know I had to do one on the workshop.
Yeah.
All right.
that's the July the 27th at
Yeah.
6 p.m.
Okay, Sandy's gonna call for a vote on the workshop.
Okay. You're going out of order here, girl.
I know.
Okay, who wants to make a motion for Monday, the 27th at 6 PM?
So moved.
And the second?
Second?
Okay, Shaw,
Aye.
Holstein,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
McEwen.
Aye.
All right, now we need to do the same thing to set our public hearing on the proposed budget for August 11th, 2026.
That's a legal requirement, just so y'all know.
Yeah. Someone like to make a motion?
So moved?
And a second?
Second.
Shaw,
Aye.
Holstein,
Aye.
Post,
Aye.
and McEwen.
Aye.
Okay, everybody's got their schedule, and I'll adjourn tonight's meeting at 7:42.
Woo-hoo.
So that's the longest meeting y'all had in a while.
But it sure was fun.